Drummer, keep it going just like that. Yeah. Bring the keys in. I like that. It's how we do. Blue Soul 10. Let me get that bass. We're gonna start this album off this way. Drummer, keep it funky like that. Shout out to Destiny's here. What you gotta say?
Bring the drummer, bring the bass. You got to hurry, no time to waste. Bring the guitar, bring the keys. The way we vibe it is all we need.
I like that bridge. Gotta bridge. The horns get some now. Y'all keep it funky just like that. Shout to talk to him again.
Bring the drummer, bring the bass. You got to hurry, no time to waste. Bring the guitar, bring the keys. The way we vibe it is all we need. Oh, baby, it's all we need. Oh, yeah. Baby, it's all we need.
Back out. Yeah, let that ride out. Blue Soul 10. Welcome to the new album.
Well, all right, everyone. Welcome to my show. Happy weekend, everyone. Welcome. This is your host with the most, Lady Diva, here on air. Phone lines are open right now. And thank you all for tuning in. I have with me today Blue Soul 10 on their music album, It's Worth It, and a new single that they have also. Welcome, Blue Soul 10. Blue, are you there?
I am. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, my goodness. This album really intrigued me. I played each track on the album, and it's like, wow, I'm really impressed. I really love it. Where are you calling from, Blue?
Right now, Washington, D.C. I'm based there. I bounce around a little bit, but most of my time is spent in Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. All right, Washington, D.C. fans out there. I have a star on my platform today. So
You're kind.
I would love to introduce you to the listening audience. Now, Blue Soul 10 is a seasoned songwriter and producer with a sincere devotion to his work. He's an artist, songwriter, and producer, and he got his musical career that spans over 2 decades. Is that correct, Blue?
Yes, it is. It's been a minute. It's about 2 decades I've been busy, including even as a young person. Just, it's been the majority of my life, actually.
Started off as a radio DJ. What city was that, and what radio station was that?
That was actually in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So
okay.
That was actually, it was a college station. I was a DJ, and then I became program director. That's really where I became fascinated with the music industry, not so much from a creative perspective, but from the business perspective. I just became infatuated with it, wanted to learn more and more about it, but at the same time still get better at writing and producing. But that's where I really fell in love with the business side of things as well. And that's what I do to this day, both sides.
Wow. And your craft is with a blend of jazz, soul, hip-hop, R&B, and house music, correct?
It is. It's how I grew up. I grew up, obviously, as a DJ. You play a lot of different types of music, but I grew up because of some really strong musical influences from my parents. That was the jazz, the rhythm, the blues, the soul. And then I picked up hip-hop like most people did, and that became another passion and love of mine. And then throughout college, you learn to appreciate other styles of music, in particular house music. And as a DJ, we played a lot of different types of music that were house influenced. And so all of those blend together in terms of, just what I feel like I do well is to try to mix those together. And there's a little bit of world music in that as well. So some of the Latin, the new bossa, and the salsa, things like that. But mostly the core is what you read, and that's really what drives a lot of my creativity and curiosity in terms of music creation.
Yes, the collaborations with the international vocalists is wow to me. Now, that track, All We Need, is, what's up with that track? Is that the starter for the album, starter track for the album?
That's the first song for the album. It was interestingly one of the last songs that we wrote and recorded, but I always intended it to be the first song on the album. So yeah, it's a song that features a singer that I've worked with in the past. So if you're familiar with Blue Soul 10 and the music that I do, the last couple of albums have featured the featured singer on that. Her name is Shauki Destanika. She is based in Indonesia. One of the most soulful voices that I've ever heard in my life. I mean, she's beautiful sound, beautiful voice, and so she's a great person to work with as well. She and I think very much alike. We vibe very much alike, and so I think when we get together and we actually put together a song, I'm always happy with the outcome. And that one I knew I wanted to be the beginning of the album because of the history that she and I have working together, and I knew it would be magical.
Yeah, it really inspired me and got my attention. I wanted to play that track first off the album. And who is Greenhouse Music? Please explain.
Yeah, definitely. So as I mentioned, when I was a DJ, I became infatuated with the business side of things, and I always knew, I had a number of friends that went out and just from the music industry and work, and they get record deals and contracts and things like that, and being on the business side of things, I always, at a young age, and I think also I have to credit my father as well, just understanding the value of owning what you do. And even as I saw some of my friends that were signing record deals, I realized, understanding how those deals went along, that they didn't own what they were doing. And it creates challenges when you can't do that. I mean, it takes away some autonomy, some flexibility, and obviously the ability to make independent decisions on your own. And so trying to also craft my skill at just being a good business person, I knew that as I continued to develop my creative side of music that I needed to have an outlet for it. And I had a couple of smaller deals with different small record labels and worked for them and produced for them, but there's nothing like owning your own work. And so Greenhouse Music was a record label that I created. It also doubles as a production company. But it's a record label that I created, independent record label, and everything that I do, it releases through that record label. And it just, again, it gives me an opportunity to own what I do and to make decisions about what I do with proper wording, more autonomy and more flexibility. So that's what Greenhouse Music is. So any album that you see of mine or even the website, you'll see Greenhouse Music is the business side of what I do. Blue Soul 10 is the creative side of what I do.
Okay. Thank you for that information. I see you have several albums that were put out. It's going to take me a minute to go through them albums. I would love to go through them. What year was your first album? Was it in 2000?
So the first album under the brand Blue Soul 10, no, it was 2015. It really hasn't been that long from a Blue Soul 10 perspective. But no, going back to what you're describing, though, I mean, I probably started producing songs for people back in maybe 2006, 2007 is when I really started that process.
Okay.
in terms of Blue Soul 10, it's an interesting story. I was kind of amassing these songs and writing them, and I think when you're working or striving to be a creative writer or producer, you tend to have a lot more tracks than people actually record, right? Because you're always writing and always trying to bring people new tracks, and so I had amassed a whole lot of songs, and I was playing them for a friend of mine one day, and he looked at me and he said, you're nuts if you don't release this stuff. Why are you sitting here on all this music? Instead of waiting for the right person to match it with, why don't you just create your own brand and do it? That's what ended up the first album. That was probably 2013. And then that's what created Blue Soul 10. And then 2 years later, I released the first record as a quote unquote as an artist, producer, songwriter. And so it's 2015 that you will find the first Blue Soul 10 record.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for that information. So let's go into talking about the new track called "Waiting for Love." What inspired you to do this track right after you just completed a 13-track album? So what's up with "Waiting for Love" before I spin it?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the production process is interesting, and it's a lot of fun. And for me, when you hear an album of mine, you might see 10, 11, 12, 13 tracks, however many are on there. The thing that I always want people to understand about how I work is that I am not a singles-oriented person. I am I took a lot of time and I studied great, what I consider great music, Earth, Wind and Fire, Al Jarreau, Michael Jackson, even pop artists, like, you go back to the Madonna times, and when you had a producer who would produce an entire record. And so what you find is when you function outside of that, and my goal is never to produce singles, it's always to produce albums. Okay. And when you do that, you record a lot of songs. And so if you see a 13-song album, there's generally at least 10 more songs that were written and recorded for that album that don't make the album. And so I have a lot of songs to sit in. So these songs, Waiting for Love, and there's going to be an EP, and Waiting for Love will be on that EP. It's just going to be 4 tracks. But there are 4 songs that were written and recorded for the This Is Worth It album. And so these aren't new songs that I'm recording. They're just songs that I'm releasing. And I wanted to do that because I felt as though I felt very strongly about these 4 songs. But, when you listen to Waiting for Love and you compare it against the body of work that is This Is Worth It, you can see it kind of didn't fit after a while. It had a different vibe. It just didn't fit with what I was trying to create as the vision of This Is Worth It. And so what you're seeing now is me just slowly releasing these singles. Well, this one single, and then there'll be 3 other songs plus that one on a short EP in January. And it's literally, it's going to be called The Culture Sessions. That's the name of the EP. And that name comes because every time I go into an album, I name the sessions that we are recording under. So there's any album, I can tell you what the name of the sessions were. And so as we were recording the album called This Is Worth It, I was calling it the Culture Sessions because I had something in my mind about culture or whatever I was trying to do. And then the name of the album comes later, and then you name the album, but the This Is Worth It album came out of the Culture Session recordings. And so that's a lot of words, and I apologize for that, but I just want to make sure everybody understands is that these aren't singles that I'm just randomly producing. These are all part of a body of work that I still want the world to hear, so there'll be 4 songs that we'll put out. Hopefully all right.
Well, thank you for that information. Wow. So this track I'm about to spin, Waiting for Love, who's the vocalist artist? Dennis Lorenzo?
Dennis Lorenzo. I've worked with Dennis a couple times. Again, anybody familiar with my work, you know who Dennis is. You probably know who Dennis is before Blue Soul 10, though. So Dennis Lorenzo had a really great run on American Idol. And I'm fortunate enough, I believe, to call Dennis a friend of mine now. He and I have worked together a number of times. He and I, again, similar thought, similar vibe. When he and I get together and produce a song, to me, it's a magical experience. I think it really produces an incredible result. And I love working with him because he's easy to work with. So this is Dennis Lorenzo. He's a great singer. Definitely look him up, follow him. He's crazy talented. I love working with him.
Well, here is Waiting for Love. You stay in that hot seat, Blue. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Some people say it, just let it be. I'm hesitating like you ain't all I need. You keep debating if you want me. It's complicated. Babe, what does that even mean? So I
Well, all right. Waiting for Love. That is from Blue Soul 10, everyone, the newest single that's out right now. And as we move forward here, Blue, give your website information, your social media information, and where anyone could stream your music at online. Go right ahead.
Absolutely. So pretty much social media, you can find me by Blue Soul 10, BLUESOULTEN. I am only on Instagram and Facebook. I don't have a Twitter account. I've never been on Twitter. But Facebook and Instagram are how I reach out to a lot of people. I let people know what's going on from a Blue Soul 10 perspective and communicate with a lot of people. And, I always tell people don't ever hesitate to reach out and say hi. And I love chatting with folks and just connecting with people that appreciate what I do. So that's number one. Number two, if you're looking for CDs, you're looking for merchandise, there's greenhousemusic.com, Greenee. So it's spelled differently, GREENEHOUSEMUSIC.com. And you can find any album out there, electronic download or physical if you want one, but electronic download or physical are all out there. In terms of streaming, it's the usual suspects, but ultimately it's the music, the album especially, This Is Worth It, it's around the world, 90 different digital stores. The older music you really can only buy from the website. I've been taking a lot of things down from streaming, as people have heard and can imagine. Streaming is not really it's not viable from a music perspective as much, but This Is Worth It. All of the new things are going out to streaming. They'll probably stay out there for about a year, and then I'll take them down and promote only on the website. So if you want to really keep up with what I do, greenhousemusic.com. And if you can't find anything that you're looking for, hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, and I'd be glad to get you what you need. Be glad to point you to what you need. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the interest in what I do.
Wow. You're really a laid-back person, and you're real.
I appreciate
and you
that.
take the time to read people's texts and everything. That's real cool. And I'd like to ask you, why did you name this album This Is Worth It?
That's a great question. I go through a lot of thoughts of album names, and sometimes I'll name them after a name of a track. Other times they'll just have some purpose that I think is cool. But this one, in that case, I had started to really think about what I was doing in music, and I started to think a lot about production, about songwriting, and the level of effort. It's a lot of effort. And here's what I'll say. When I started putting together this next record, or the record that you hear, This Is Worth It, I wanted to take a little bit of a different approach in that I wanted all live musicians. I didn't want synthesizers. I didn't want drum machines, and I'm not criticizing those. I've used those in a little bit. I write certain genres of music, and I use a lot of synthesizers and drum machines and things like that. But this one, I wanted to capture what I thought was missing in my life from a music perspective. And I realized that as I thought more about it, a lot of people were missing that too, which was just that live instrumentation, really great lyrics, not talking about drugs and sex, but just really mature ways to express yourself and hopefully situations that people have related to. And so, and that kind of song, right? The interesting thing is that kind of song where it's really introspective, really mature content, you can't do that over a bunch of drum machines and synthesizers. That requires an organic way of thinking, and it requires organic music. And so I started to contemplate, how do I put together a project that really makes sense? And so the one thing that I knew that I was going to be facing, to be honest, is that to put together an album, and imagine there's 20 songs, right, that I needed to record. I wanted to record. Actually, there were 25 that we recorded for that project in those culture sessions. But imagine that, and having to pay musicians and having to pay people to come in, because I don't play everything. And so I realized that not only was this going to be a big financial experience, but it would also be a time and a commitment experience. And I said to myself one day, I said, this is going to cost a lot. Again, not even just from a money perspective, it's going to cost a lot of time and energy to produce an album that has a lot of live musicians, and then write the album, then record them with vocalists. And I thought to myself, I'm missing this in music. I miss this part of music, and I literally thought to myself, but it's worth it.
Yeah,
I'm missing it, so it's worth it to take on that burden, right? And I'm like, if no one else in music would do it, well, dang it, I'm going to be the one to take it on, and it's worth it. And you'll see that if you have a physical, people that, if you buy a physical CD, I wrote a letter in the physical CD to everybody that buys it. Anybody that buys it, there's a letter that I wrote to you in that CD. And that letter talks about exactly what I'm talking about. It's a musical journey. It's a commitment. It's a lot of effort, but it's worth it. And that's what that letter is about. So I encourage everybody. It's great to listen to it. It's great to stream it. But if you buy a physical CD, there is a letter written to you in that CD, and you can read it, and it really explains why it's worth it.
Well, I'm going to have to buy the album then so I can read the letter. But I love the fact that you support the musicians. They really need to be noticed and give more attention to, that they're still out there and still wanted. And having real live music is the thing, that we all missing out on. So I want to say thank you for supporting real musicians.
Oh yeah, likewise. I appreciate your appreciation of it, and your desire to play it, because I think it's just me and my opinion of music. I think we're missing that in music. There's a lot of really short-term music projects and a lot of singles where people don't think of the concept of an entire album. They just want to get a song done and put it out there. What you end up with is a bunch of disjointed songs that don't create one body of work, and that have content that is very shallow. And your album, it reminds me back in 1982. When I got some Bose speakers and Bose speakers and playing vinyl records before all the CDs, and you get the goosebumps on your skin when you hear it sitting in front of a Bose speaker and you hear every live instrument. And when I heard your album, I got the same feeling with the goosebumps on my arms. I'm like, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'm like, I thought I had hair on the back of my neck because it was like it's reminiscing me back in 1980, how I first heard real music through those Bose speakers. And then, I don't have Bose speakers no more, but the thing is, you can tell the difference with live music, live musicians on a track. And I heard everything, the vocals and everything just was so smooth, so cool, and each track one after another. You could play through the whole album one after another, and not only just get surprised, but you feel real good. It gives you a good, warm feeling inside. So I just want to say that.
I appreciate that too, and that's actually what I was after in this project, right? And that's why I said, this is going to be worth it, and I tried to go back in time, right, as much as I tried to study music from those 80s and 70s even, and really just try to understand. And what I discovered is that, these people had one producer, and they went into a place in their mind, their creative soul, in a physical place, in a studio, and they went in there for 4 months. And it was eating and sleeping and breathing the concept of this album. It wasn't just trying to create a single and release it. It was, no, we've got to put together an entire album, and we've got 3.5, 4 months to do it, and we have to eat and sleep and breathe and bleed this concept. And that, to me, is why we ended up with timeless music from those days, and why some of the music, and again, I'm not knocking music today, but it's just not as timeless because the same time is not spent producing it. And so, you can't expect a timeless album when the time to produce the album has been reduced from 4 months down to 4 days. You're not going to get timeless music that way. So for me, I wanted to make that commitment and just say, hey, I want to bring something new to the world that people are going to hopefully react the same way you did and say, wow, I hear all these instruments, and there's live instruments, and there's a person playing a conga back here, there's a live drummer, and then these beautiful lyrics and these beautiful vocalists that are singing. That was my goal right there. Well,
you did it. You really did it. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So as we move along, about your upcoming music project, what's the name of the new album coming up next year? Culture Sessions?
It's actually not an album. It's just going to be it's going to be an EP. It's going to have 4 tracks that were recorded for the This Is Worth It album, and that means that they were recorded during what I call the Culture Sessions. And so this EP is going to be titled the Culture Sessions EP. Okay. And as I promote on social media for it, I will explain to everyone what it is, that it is 4 songs from the album, didn't make the album, but have a right to stand on their own and be released. And so I just chose 4 of them, and that's just what I wanted to do is to release that. Now, what's also coming up, too, is December 9th, I am releasing the This Is Worth It instrumentals. So yes. And just releasing the instrumentals from that album. That's coming December 9th. So I'm really excited about that for a number of reasons, because, number one, I think the music deserves that breathing space to stand on its own. I think the music can do that. I'm excited about that. And then I know for some DJs, they just like to mix songs together and do different things. And so I'm excited to hear what some of the more creative DJs can do with it. But mostly it's just an opportunity to get the instrumental. So look for that December 9th. And then the Culture Sessions EP will come out probably January 2023, so shortly after the new year.
Okay. Thank you for that information. Wow. And instrumentals are a big thing now. So, yes, thank you for that information. Wow. Yeah, the instrumentals. Yes. What was that date again? December what?
December 9th. December 9th, the instrumentals from This Is Worth It will be released. Yes, and it will not be on, you won't be able to stream it. You'll only be able to get it from the Greenhouse Music website, from iTunes or Amazon. It's only purchase only. There's no streaming of it. You gotta buy it. Right.
Thank you for that information as well. Thank you for that. Wow. Yes. And so any upcoming events you want to mention that you're involved in? Any?
So nothing direct yet. However, there's a lot of discussions that we're probably going to try to put together a show with all of the people from This Is Worth It. It's a crazy challenge, though, and I always ask people's patience in putting it together, because don't forget, I'm trying to coordinate a person in L.A., a person in Nashville, Tennessee, a person in Indonesia, a person in the U.K., and a person in Canada to all come together and perform something. And so it's not easy. And I'll do it in some way, shape, or form, but I do intend to have a show where we come out and we perform at least one or more of the songs from the album.
All right. Well, thank you for that information as well. And you're more than welcome right now to give shout-outs to all those supporters. Go right ahead.
Yeah, it's I always say shout-outs for me are more general than specific. There's certainly, I would shout out everybody on the album that just did incredible work. I mean, it's a lot of fun to work with the people that I work with, and I'm very blessed and fortunate to have them on my team. While they're not on their own teams, they take a break from what they do certain times of the year, and they come join the Blue Soul 10 family and team, and we put together something incredible, what I think is incredible. So they're number one. They're the specifics. Aside from that, I just appreciate everybody that's inquisitive and curious about Blue Soul 10, and everybody that listens to the music and takes the time to really consume what they hear. It makes it worth it for me. And then when people reach out to me and say, hey, I heard the album, I heard this song, and this is why I like it. All of those people, I just shout out everybody like that. I just really appreciate anybody that's willing to listen to what I do. It is to me, it's much more meaningful to have people reach out and talk about it than anything else in what I do. And so I really appreciate that. So shout out to everybody that listens. Shout out to everybody that's bought it. Anybody that's reached out to me, I appreciate it. I wish I could do it more and entice more people to communicate. I think it helps from the creative process keep moving forward.
All right. So let's give everyone an applause. Before you keep going supporting. Yeah. Yeah. And I congratulate you on this album, This Is Worth It, and the new single. Everyone go check out Blue Soul 10 on his website. And so I have some other tracks I would like to play as we sign out. Of course, I'm going to play the single the track song "This Is Worth It" featuring Dennis Lorenzo again, and Up to You featuring Charmaine, and also
Charmaine.
Yes, and You Are featuring Braille Watson. Is that correct?
Yes, Braille Watson. Yeah, incredible.
So
singer.
tell me about those tracks right there. Except for This Is Worth It. I know about This Is Worth It. I really love that one.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Up to You is a song that I wrote, and here's the thing, right? When you work as a producer and you really focus on albums, aside from singles, and it can be this way with singles, but as a producer, for me anyway, one of the things that I think is one of my biggest jobs or responsibilities as a producer is it's my job to find the right person that should be singing a song.
Uh-huh.
And the one thing that I can say in terms of all of these songs on the This Is Worth It album, and even that are going to come up on the Culture Sessions EP, is that this is likely for me the first time in an album or a series of recordings and sessions for an album that I believe that I found the professional should be singing that song at that time. And I've gotten there before. I've always set that as a goal for myself to say, this is where I need to be. This is what I want to do. I want to reach that pinnacle where I say, yeah. So Up to You is a song that I had originally given to another vocalist that came back. We worked to record it. It just didn't feel right. And so I met Charmaine. I gave her the song. She recorded it one time, and when I listened to it the first time, I knew that's it. You're the person that's supposed to sing the song. And what you hear on there is that was her first take. We didn't revise it. That was literally her first take. We added in a couple ad-libs here and there, but that was her first take on the song. And I said, oh, my gosh, this is it. Like, it's like finding lightning in a bottle, right? Or capturing lightning in a bottle, as they say. That was
right.
It. That's Up to You. That's Charmaine. She's also out of D.C. And then Braille Watson is in Canada. I always forget the exact city in Kansas. I always forget the exact city, but Braille is another guy that I had worked with first on this song. There's a song called Pieces on the album. And Braille, I had written a song that I wanted to be motivational and uplifting. And Braille, if you look at his social media, he's incredibly motivational and uplifting and just a spiritually empowered guy. And, he can sing anything. But when I wrote that song, that's another example of a song that I had given to a different artist, and they sang it, and it came back, and I thought, yeah, that's not it yet. And I said, you know what? You need to give this song to Braille. And I did, and when Braille sang it, it was what you hear. It was just magic. And it was like, oh, my God, you're the exact person that's supposed to sing this song. And so that's what came out of that song as well. And I'm really proud of that song, You Are, because that's really the first time that I wrote a song that I thought was meant to be
I really love that track.
And motivating. Yeah, I appreciate it.
I really love that track.
Thank you. I appreciate
most of your music is uplifting, motivational, inspiring. What makes you want to be doing music like that?
Yeah, I appreciate that question too. Yeah, I appreciate that question. I think all of us in life have something that we are naturally good at. Just some talent that we have. You take away all this man-made stuff, right? You got a person that's an engineer, you got a person that's a lawyer, you got a person that's a doctor, a person that's a mechanic. I think you take away all that. We all have something that we do well, and it's just naturally good. Like some people are feelers, right? And they're really good at just helping people to feel better, and they're usually like an anchor in their family. People come to them when they have problems. And then there's other people that are great at expressing thoughts and ideas that can help people to think through certain situations. And so I have, and now then when you take the man-made things, right, there's man-made ways that we can make that happen. Like you have a person that just loves to help people feel good. Well, they're the people that are going to go be a doctor, right? And they choose to be a doctor to help them satisfy that inner strength. And then some people are communicators and communicate and help people think through words and through other thoughts and emotions. And so music is one of the ways that you can do that. And that's the type of person I am. And so when you add the man-made part in it, okay, now that I understand this about myself, how do I figure out what's man-made that will enable me to achieve that inner mission? And that's what music is for me. And so music does a number of things for me. Number one, it's therapeutic, so it provides me balance. And then number two, I want it to be therapeutic and provide other people balance, whether it be, hey, they feel good, or whether it be, hey, maybe not so good, maybe I don't feel good about something and I need to change or I need to think about it or whatever. But music just becomes a way for me where I can communicate where I'm not comfortable communicating with. I always tell people all the time, you're gonna learn a lot more about me by listening to my songs than I will ever tell you.
Okay.
And it's just how I am as a person. It's not like I hide things from people or don't want to talk to people. It's just how I am. So for me, the curiosity and creativity of how to become a better communicator and how to share thoughts and energies with people is why I love to do music, because it gives me a way to speak and reach out and talk to a lot of people without ever meeting them. So that's why I do it, and I love it. And the last part I'll add to that is, there's not many things in life man-made that I'm just naturally good at, that I just naturally understand. And I think music is one of those things. Like, I've never had to sit down and really kind of wonder if I got it, right? Of course, I had to work hard at music theory and things like that, but I never had trouble understanding music and how certain instruments can create certain emotions and how certain chord progressions can make people feel a certain way. I never struggled to understand that. So music is the easy way for me to achieve my inner mission and inner goal.
Okay. All right. Well, you just told me a lot about yourself. Well, thank you for that, Blue. And we're coming to an end of our show. I want to thank you for coming on my show. Give a shout out to J. Ross the Boss. He referred me to you.
That's my man right there.
He just dropped right in. He just dropped you right in my lap, and I just took off. And I loved your music. And congratulations on the album. This is worth it. It was worth listening to, and I'll be following you. I hope you come back with more music projects if you're more willing to. And thank you.
I would love to. I would love to. And if I could say one thing about, J. Ross the Boss, let me say that, he's an incredible person to work with. Number one, right? Just a great guy in general. He understands what he's doing, and I would just say this, right? I don't ever put myself in a position to give anybody advice, right? But if I could give someone advice or give someone a recommendation, if you're an up-and-coming artist or you really want to aspire to be a part of the industry, you got to have good people around you. And you got to have people that are willing to work with you and help push your brand. And J. Ross, the Boss, is one of those guys. He just, he doesn't take advantage of you. He just wants to sincerely see you get better. And so that's why I love working with him. So shout out to J. Ross, the Boss, man. I appreciate you.
All right, yeah. There you go. J. Ross, the Boss, is the one contact. Get with him, everyone. And so any words of encouragement you would like to give to people out here in the world, or up-and-coming artists, any advice?
Yeah, just here's the thought I always give people is that want to be a part of the industry is don't be afraid to focus on an album. Don't be afraid to try to create a vision and to try to tell that vision through a series of songs. That's where the true storytelling comes in music. It's not the short singles that you're just trying to get songs out there where you're talking about the same things in every single. Don't be afraid to bite off more than you believe you can chew, because I'm telling you can chew it. But don't be afraid to look at a project as a body of work, and don't be afraid to stand in front of somebody and say, no, I need 10 songs to tell the story I need to tell. And I have 25 songs that I use to tell a story, and 10 to 13 of them make the album. But don't be afraid of that, because that's how you're going to get real longevity. That's how you're going to get people that really appreciate what you do. And right now we don't see that in music, which is why music is in such a shallow state, and why I think a lot of people out here are starving for a different experience in music. So don't be afraid to be that person that stands up and says, no, I'm not putting out a single talking about that, then another single talking about the same thing. I want an entire vision, 10 to 12 songs, tell your story, and that's the most important thing. Don't be afraid to have that patience to tell your story.
Thank you. Thank you for those encouraging words and tips there. Wow, that's deep. And thank you, Blue, for coming on my show. Don't be a stranger. Come back again. Wow.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Can you go ahead and give your website information again, please?
Absolutely. So it is greenhousemusic.com. That is greenhousemusic.com. All one word, greenhousemusic.com. Look me up on Facebook and Instagram. It's BlueSoul10. All one word, BlueSoulTen. You can find me on either one. Reach out, follow me. I put a lot of little things out there. I post lyrics to songs out there. I just try to encourage or try to engage with people and encourage them to engage with me. But anything and everything about me that you need to know is out there on those two websites. Well, three websites, technically, including Greenhouse Music.
Thank you, Blue. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're so cool and smooth. Wow. So,
I appreciate it.
All right, everyone. This is Lady Diva signing out. Blue, thank you again. Have a blessed weekend. Be talking to you again soon. And thanks, J. Ross, the boss. This is Lady Diva signing out for Lady Diva Live Radio. Have a good weekend, everyone. Stay blessed and stay safe out there.
Try to stay on to
We're going to need some help on this one, y'all. This one's too good to sing alone. So if you heard this before, come on and sing along with us. And if not, it goes like this. Got my man Burl Watson on this one with me.